Imagine living for thousands of years surrounded only by death. You feel nothing as you commit genocide after genocide in the name of an empire that wants nothing to do with you. You have no friends. You go years at a time without even speaking to another person. The only people that you even wish to talk to are scared of you. They look at you like you're some kind of wild animal. But they made you this way. You were taught to feel nothing since the day you were born. Sometimes you want to cry, but you know it's pointless because no one in the entire universe would care. You're not even enough of a person to deserve a real name, but they call you
Conquest. I don't even get a real name, only a purpose.
The Conquest versus Invincible fight was a textbook example of an unstoppable force meets an immovable object. Conquest playing the part of an unstoppable force and Mark being the immovable object. Conquest didn't care about the Empire. Hell, I don't even think he cared about Earth. He was there for one reason and one reason only. He thought it was fun. Mark refused to lose this fight. It didn't matter what happened to him. He was not going to let Conquest hurt the people that he cared about.
I think that sounds like a bunch of
Get away from him!
By far, the best moment in the entire episode was actually the confession that Conquest made to Mark. For all non-comic readers, that was not in the comics. That moment completely recontextualized Conquest as a character for me. In the comics, he was definitely a psychopath, but the show did a fantastic job of explaining how he got like that. They turned him from a one-note killing machine into an actually kind of tragic character. Not tragic in the way of like he deserves redemption, but just kind of sad. Like you have to pity him. In reality though, it kind of just makes him look like even more of a psychopath than he was before. Like, do you know how fucked up you have to be to have a society who have shaped their entire lives around fighting and killing to be afraid of you? And honestly, I can't blame them. The way that he flips between emotions is terrifying. They did a great job at making him seem truly unstable. I think that this scene not only recontextualizes him, but also the Viltrumites as a whole. Up until this point, excluding Nolan, the Viltrumites have been portrayed as these cold-hearted killing machines with the lone goal of spreading their empire. It goes to show just how isolating and miserable their lives really are. Kind of makes me think about who Nolan might have become had he not met Debbie. Conquest is a lot older than Nolan, and it seemed like he was still pretty early in his career with the Viltrumite army when he came to Earth. Nolan very well may have turned out to be just as much of a monster as Conquest, given enough time. Also, I have to talk about Jeffrey Dean Morgan's performance in the finale. I can't believe that people are saying they didn't like his voice for Conquest. He was the reason that this episode is probably up there with the best episodes of the entire show. The line delivery during the monologue, or when he was trying to pull Oliver apart, was an absolute masterclass and made that scene one of the most visceral moments in the entire show.
This is going to be amazing!
Do you guys agree? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about Jeffrey Dean Morgan's performance. While you're down there, do me a favor and drop a like if you're enjoying the video so far. Now that we've talked a little about Conquest, we can talk about Mark and how he is the immovable object to Conquest's unstoppable force. This episode was the moment that he truly earned the name. His name is not invincible because he can't die. His name is invincible because his spirit cannot be broken. Keep in mind, this fight was right after the Invincible War. They put this fight here to show even more how unbreakable Mark's spirit truly is. He refused to let Conquest win, and that was it. The moment he made the decision that Conquest was going to die, the fight was already over.
I can see the future. You don't live to see tomorrow.
If these two had fought on some remote planet out in the galaxy with no life on it, Conquest wins 10 times out of 10. Mark only won because he had to. He had to save the people that he loves. There was no other option. Not only were the people he cared about responsible for him mentally winning the fight, if that makes sense, but also physically. Mark would have died had it not been for Eve. It was kind of like a physical representation of how powerful love can truly be. Conquest had nothing to fight for, and that is why he lost. He wasn't even fighting for the Viltrumite Empire. He was just fighting to fight, because it's the only thing that he's ever done. I'm honestly not even sure that he cared if he lived or if he died. Him egging Mark on throughout the fight kind of confirms this. Only someone who doesn't care about their life would act like that during a fight. But at the same time, I also think he was egging him on because he was just enjoying the fight and wanted more. He probably hasn't gotten the chance to fight a Viltrumite since the Great Purge. Hell, he probably hasn't gotten the chance to fight anyone who could even make him feel something when they hit him since the Great Purge. And if Conquest doesn't care about the Viltrumite Empire, then he truly has nothing. I think it's interesting that the showrunners put so much emphasis on his one bad eye during the confession. I think the pure white eye was supposed to be a representation of the void that is inside Conquest. But honestly, I think that deep down, he was jealous of the life that Mark got to live. He pointed out Mark's care for others multiple times throughout the fight with the civilians, Oliver, and then especially Eve. Seeing others risk their lives to save Mark reminded him of how lonely he is, and how there's no one in the universe that would do the same thing for him. This is basically confirmed in his confession. Obviously, he was kind of trauma dumping on Mark because he thought that he wouldn't be alive to tell anyone, but it's not like he goes around telling everyone he kills his life story. No, he told Mark this because he sees him living the life that he never got a chance to live, surrounded by people that truly love and care for him. The showrunners did an incredible job with making Conquest feel connected to our main character in a very short amount of time. These two are polar opposites, and that's why the fight works so well as a narrative device. It puts Mark in an impossible position. Either fight or die and allow everyone that you care about to die as well because of your inability to act. This entire season has been Mark having to face the reality of being a hero. He holds too much power and too much responsibility to sit around while innocent people get hurt. Now, I've read the comics, and so I knew that this moment was coming. It has been so hard listening to people complain about Mark being a bitch, knowing that this moment was literally right around the corner. This is truly the turning point of Mark's story.
Listen to me. Just listen.
Are you crazy?
Now, in relation to Conquest, I think that we also have to talk about that Damien Darkblood scene at the end. That was also not in the comics. I guess Kirkman said that he originally wanted to include this story in the original run, but just wasn't able to. So, who do you guys think he's referring to?
Surface dweller of great power, likes of which this planet has not seen for eons.
I think the most obvious answer is Conquest. There isn't another being, maybe in the entire universe, more deserving of Darkblood's description than Conquest. Conquest fits all the criteria. Powerful, abilities that far exceed any other, and he definitely has a blackened heart after thousands of years of loneliness and death. The only issue is, without getting into comic spoilers, that would have massive implications for the future story of Invincible. Now, I don't think that's a spoiler considering we saw that Cecil intends to keep Conquest alive to try and get information out of him. But speaking of Cecil, what the fuck is he thinking? This has to be the dumbest decision he's made in the entire show. In what world does he think he'll be able to contain Conquest? I'm pretty sure Mark was literally bench pressing more than the, 400 tons Cecil said the steel alloy weighs? If you guys remember in season 1, Omni-Man said that he redirected an asteroid the size of Texas away from Earth. And Cecil is theorizing that Conquest is even stronger than Nolan. This just seems like a poor decision on Cecil's part. Speaking of Cecil though, I think he is the next most likely candidate that Darkblood was referring to. While he doesn't have the abilities, he definitely holds an ungodly amount of power over the people of Earth. I'm just not sure he really has the blackened heart that Darkblood referenced. He's honestly kind of been the homie ever since he and Mark fought. Cecil does everything he does out of a genuine love for the people of Earth. You don't end up in Cecil's job if you don't. I think the main reason Cecil's being connected to Darkblood is just because we all know that Darkblood hates Cecil. Now, one name that I haven't seen connected to Darkblood is Powerplex. Besides Conquest, he kind of makes the most sense if you think about it. Powerplex has lost literally everything and everyone that he cares about, and is just consumed with hate for Mark. He's also one of the only characters that I think might willingly let himself get possessed so that he would finally have a chance to get his revenge. This could also happen as more of a one-off event without affecting the larger story Kirkman established in the comics too much. I think the theory kind of starts to fall apart though when you remember Darkblood said it was a being with abilities that far exceed any other. But honestly, we still haven't even seen the extent of his abilities. Mark figured out pretty quick that hitting him only made him stronger. There's also probably some sort of connection to be made with like the devil and pain and self-harm that they could go down. But either way, who do you think Darkblood is talking about? Conquest? Cecil? Maybe even Powerplex? Let me know down in the comments below. But alright, what a season and what a freaking finale. I have been waiting to see Conquest animated since I read the comics after season 1, and they did not disappoint. He really jumped directly off the pages onto our TV screens. I really love the extra layers that they added onto his character. It made him so much more interesting of a villain. In the comics, he always felt like way more of a plot device to convince Mark that sometimes he had to kill for the better good, but in the show, he felt like a fully fledged character. He definitely still did his job as a plot device though. Mark has finally realized what Cecil realized so long ago.
You can be the good guy, or the guy who saves the world. You can't be both.
If you enjoyed this video and made it all the way to the end, please leave a like, subscribe, and drop a comment about what you thought of the finale. I've been working on a couple of great videos that you're not going to want to miss, trust me. Alright, thank you guys, peace.